¿Nunca me oíste hablar en español? Yo sé muchas palabras como mierda, verga, chichis, nalgas, culo, vete a la chingada, como mierda y muérate. ¿Quieres que yo te meta a la verga? Mm, ¿Qué quieres que yo diga? Yo puedo decir mucho. Yo puedo entender más que yo puedo decir, pero yo puedo decir mucho. Mi vocabulario es más o menos. How do you say it's gotten worse? It's gotten worse over the years. He perdido muchas palabras y mucha de mi vocabulario durante los años pasados. Las últimos 5 o 6 años yo perdí mucho, pero I can still. How do you say still? How do you say still, guys? I can still speak it pretty well. How do you say still? It's not al próximo. I don't know. Todavía, pero todavía puedo hablarlo más o menos. Uh, por ejemplo, si, like if I traveled, si yo viajara a España o México o El Salvador o Guatemala o Honduras, yo podría hablar la idioma, yo podría, yo podría comunicar muy bien. A lo menos yo podría entender mucho. ¿Entender? La razón que tengo buen acento es que yo practicaba mucho con los hispanohablantes, con los inmigrantes del Central America y México, cuando trabajaba en muchos restaurantes, cuando tenía unos 21 años a 27 años, trabajaba con muchos hispanohablantes y entonces yo hablaba cada día yo aprendí una palabra nueva y el acento se me mejoré o mejor, I don't know, mejoró mucho durante los años porque yo hablaba mucho. Si me preguntarías hacer un comentario en español, no pienso que lo podría hacerlo. Uh, es difícil porque yo no pienso en español, todavía pienso en inglés. Entonces cuando yo estoy hablando, necesito pensar en um, cómo traducir las palabras en lugar de pensando en español y hablando en español. Entonces, I, eh, I end up speaking a little bit slower because I have to think about what I'm going to say. Whereas in English, I can just talk and just talk and talk, and it's no big deal. Pero en español necesito pensar en que lo quiero decir. Ay, ay, ay. Hutch, English, please. You have half the viewers. I don't know. It's like if you're living in California, it's especially important in California and like the states that border Mexico, like California, New Mexico, and Arizona and Texas, and to a lesser extent states like Kansas, like anywhere that's kind of like near the south. It's becoming more and more important to speak Spanish, and some people get so frustrated and pissed off that at the thought that they would even have to learn a new language, and they don't like that our immigration isn't. I mean, it's not too difficult to get in this country if you want to get in this country, and because there's such an influx of Central American and Mexican immigrants, Spanish is all over the place in California, and it's making a lot of old-fashioned middle-class white folks pretty nervous. But like only good things can come from learning a new language. Like once you learn one new language, it becomes easier to learn another new language. Because even though if you're raised within a language like English, you're not really raised to understand why it is that you're phrasing the things that you want to say the way that you're phrasing them, unless you paid attention, like strict attention in English class when it came to proper syntax and sentence structure and conjugations and things like that. But when you learn a new language, you're forced to understand a completely new way to phrase how you want to phrase what you want to say. And so it makes you appreciate language a little bit better, and so you start understanding why it is that you say the things that you say in the way that you say them. I'm only in second year of Spanish in high school, so I recognize a lot of what you were saying, but how did you learn Spanish? So what I was saying before was that I learned, so I took Spanish all throughout high school. I took Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. We were required to take 3 years of Spanish, and my grades weren't that great my sophomore year, but my teacher pulled me aside and said, are you planning on like really pursuing Spanish in the future? And I said, I don't know. I hadn't really thought that far ahead. And he said, well, you got a C- in Spanish too, but I know that you're better than that in this class, and I can see that you really enjoy learning the language. So I'm going to petition that you go on to honor Spanish 3. And no teacher had ever really done that for me, so it kind of stoked a fire in me. I was like, oh, this is like one class that, you know, I do have fun and I do enjoy learning it. So I went on to honor Spanish 3 and I got A's, and then I went on to AP Spanish 4, which was advanced placement. You get college credit for it, and I got A's every semester. Took the AP Spanish test and got college credit for Spanish in high school. Pursued it as my minor in college, even though I never got my degree. And during the time that I was in college, I was working in a lot of restaurants with a lot of Mexican and Central American immigrants. And if you've ever worked at a restaurant, in California especially, the kitchen is it's usually 99% Latino in some regard. And I loved it because I was probably kind of annoying in the beginning because I would insist on speaking Spanish with everybody that was in the back of the house, and then after a while, like Mexicans love seeing white people that can speak Spanish like really well. Like their eyes like light up. The best tip I ever got working in a restaurant was from a Mexican family, which goes against most of the stereotypes that you've heard. But there was a Mexican family. There was like 10 of them. And I walk up to the table and I did my whole spiel like, hello everybody, welcome to the Olive Garden. My name is Hutch. I'm going to be taking care of you today. I have 2 bottles of wine. I have 1 red wine, one white wine, and described them both. And I said, would anybody like to try a free sample of this, or do you guys want to hear about what we have on special today? And everyone in the family was like looking at me like with this look like I don't understand what he's saying. And then they all looked at the patriarch, like the grandpa or the dad of the family. And one of them said to him, does this white boy think that we can understand a word he's saying? And everybody started laughing. And at first they were laughing at me. And I said, oh, si prefieres, yo te puedo hablar en español también. Yo aquí tengo 2 botellas de vino, hay un rojo, hay un blanco. And I did my whole spiel in Spanish, and everyone like their eyes lit up and they started looking at each other, and then they all hollered and cheered and clapped at the end of my spiel. And I took all their orders in Spanish. I remembered everything in my head. And then they left me like an $85 tip on a $200 check or something like that. It wasn't the best tip I've ever got, but percentage-wise, it was a really good tip. And I had someone request that I use the speakeasy. So let's go ahead and rock that shit out.